Welcome back. Till now we have discussed about the calibration, the importance of calibration of the ECG paper, and it should be 10 small squares in height and horizontal plateau and then vertically down, and that represents the voltage. Vertically it is the voltage, horizontally it is the duration, and one small square is 0.04 seconds in duration, one big square is 0.2 seconds, and 5 big squares are 1 second. So the importance of this is in atrial fibrillation where RR interval is irregular. You can calculate the heart rate by calculating the number of QRS complexes in 1 second. That is number of QRS complexes in 5 big squares and multiplied by 60, that is the heart rate in atrial fibrillation. We have discussed about the calibration of the ECG paper, the importance of the calibration, and if you want to know about it you can go back to the previous video and know about it. And we also know about the different complexes in the ECG recording, the P wave, QRS, the T wave, PR interval, QRS duration, PR duration, QT interval, the T wave and its duration, the ST segment, and so on. At this point also I would like to tell you that there is a small positive U wave that follows the T wave, and sometimes it is seen normally. Some believe that it is because of the depolarization of the papillary muscles. In this video, we will be discussing about the different leads which are used to get the recordings on the ECG paper. There are 3 standard limb leads, lead 1, lead 2 and lead 3. And there are 3 augmented limb leads, AVR, AVL and AVF. I will not go into the technicality of it because you might not find it interesting. Everything is written in the books. I will be giving a practical approach to the importance of all these. Then we have 6 anterior chest leads, V1, V2, V3, V4, V5 and V6. And in this video we will discuss about how to take a ECG physically. But when we were under training, we had to take ECGs also. So, and on the old machines which had everything manual. So first thing is you have to connect the leads to the patient, and mind you, all these anterior chest leads, the limb leads, they have a color. There is a color assigned to all these leads, and it will be helpful if you can by heart at least 2 colors, and you will know by color which lead goes to which limb, instead of picking up a lead and looking what is written, whether it is left leg or right arm or what. So I have memorized it as green for left leg, red for right arm. If you hang the leads like this, so there's the main lead, main cord which is going to the ECG machine. So there are all the leads hanging. So this will be for the left side, this will be for the right side. So 2 leads on the left side, 2 leads on the right side. So green for left leg. So one lead goes to the left leg, the other lead on the left side, it automatically means it will go to the left arm. Then on the right side, red for right arm. So you pick up the red lead, connect it to the right arm. Automatically one lead is left, that goes to the right leg. So like that you can memorize. It will be helpful to you to take a ECG when there is an emergency. You will not be fumbling and reading what is written on the leads. So just by color you can decide which lead goes where. That is a very important thing. You have to know the color. Green for left leg, red for right arm. And the other 2 leads on the same side, they go to the limb, upper limb or the lower limb. So one side leads are on one side, the other side leads are on the other side. What all things you need to know when you connect, and what all you should do when you connect the leads to the patient. First thing is the patient has to be very relaxed, because if the patient does not know what is going to happen to him when you are going to tie all these electricity leads, patient will think you are going to give some sort of shock or something to the patient. So you have to relax the patient, you have to tell him the procedure that you are going to take an ECG, and it is nothing serious. It records the rhythm of your heart, and it will help in the diagnosis and elevating the suffering of the patient. And you have to relax the patient, and you tell him to breathe normally. Sometimes some doctor or somebody might say, hold your breath while we take the ECG. No, you should not say that, because that will again increase the anxiety of the patient, and breathing itself will alter the ECG recording. It can decrease or slow down the heart rate, and sometimes in anxiety the patient's heart rate can increase because he is holding his breath. So let the patient breathe normally. Don't tell him to take deep breaths or shallow breaths or hold his breath. Just tell him to breathe normally, relax and breathe normally. And make sure he is not holding on to any metallic rods or side arms or side supports of the bed, because that will affect the clarity of the ECG. The earthing might be altered. Third point, once the patient is relaxed and he is lying down comfortably, then you take his permission, and if he has a hairy chest, especially in some males, they will have a very hairy chest, you will have to shave off those small areas of hair where you have to place the electrode, because the connection of the electrode to the skin has to be very good. Otherwise you will not get a good tracing. You might not at all get a tracing from that lead. So there has to be, the skin does not have to be oily. If it is oily or sweaty, you have to take care of all that. So you can rub or wipe that area where you are going to apply the electrode with the spirit swab. You take cotton and apply little spirit and clean that area. If there is hair, you shave off that area after taking the patient's consent. So this is another important step. And then you peel off the electrode, the covering of the plastic covering, and you adhere it nicely. In our time, we never had those peeling of electrodes, so we had those suction bulbs, and for that you have to apply jelly. Again, for the same purpose, there should be no air between the electrode and the skin. That affects the conduction, and you will not get a good ECG. You might get artifacts, or you might not get a tracing at all. So that will again affect the interpretation of the ECG. So whatever the case, you make sure the contact of the electrode with the skin is good. There is no oil, there is no moisture, and you clean with the spirit and you apply the electrodes. You have to apply leads from V1 to V6. V1 you apply in the fourth intercostal space, right to the sternum border on the right side. V2, fourth intercostal space, left to the sternal border. V3 is connected between V2 and V4. V4 is placed in the fifth intercostal space in the mid-clavicular line. V5, fifth intercostal space, anterior axillary line. V6, fifth intercostal space, mid-axillary line. Now there might be some difficult situations where you have to take the ECG. Maybe the patient has amputated both lower limbs. So where will you take the ECG? So you can apply the limb electrodes over the abdomen, over the hip area, the right leg electrode over the right hip, pelvis, and the left over the left hip. So that will do. And you will get the same ECG which you would have gotten if you had applied the electrode at above the ankles. And supposing patient, for some reason you cannot attach the electrode to the right arm and the left arm, wrist, then you can apply over the shoulders. The right arm electrode over the right shoulder, left arm electrode over the left shoulder. So this is about placing of the different electrodes on the body. Then in certain situations you will want to take some extra recordings, like in right ventricular infarction. If your patient has a right ventricular infarction, or if you are suspecting right ventricular infarction, Then you want to see the status of the right ventricle, and then you have to take V3R and V4R on the right side, just like on the left side, in the same intercostal space, V3R, V4R, but on the opposite side. And similarly for dextrocardia, if the patient has a true dextrocardia, there are different types of dextrocardias. There can be a false dextrocardia because of emphysema on the one side pushing the heart to the other side, but inside the left heart is on the left side, right heart is on the right side. That is not a true dextrocardia. Like in situs invertus, where you have a proper inversion mirror image of the heart, that is, the left ventricle is on the right side, the right ventricle is on the left side. So in true dextrocardia, you will place the electrodes on the right side, which you would have normally placed on the left side. That will give you a normal ECG, just like the ECG which we get in a patient who doesn't have dextrocardia. In dextrocardia, if you place the electrodes on the left side, you will get a different type of ECG. We'll discuss that in a different video, the ECG findings in a dextrocardia. Then sometimes you take V7 posteriorly, V8 also posteriorly we can take. So this helps us in diagnosing complex MIs, posterior wall MI. And mind you, whenever there is inferior wall MI, you should always suspect the right ventricular infarction and or posterior wall infarction because of the nature of the blood supply. In inferior wall MIs, you should always look for that. And supposing you are thinking of right ventricular infarction. Welcome back. So we were discussing about right ventricular infarction and posterior wall infarction, where you have to take extra ECG recordings on the right side or maybe posteriorly on the left side. And RV infarction and posterior wall infarction, they rarely they occur in isolation. They always occur when there is inferior wall MI because of the nature of the blood supply. And so the take home message is, if there is inferior wall MI, you should look actively for right ventricular infarction and posterior wall infarction. And if you detect right ventricular infarction, you look for inferior wall MI and posterior wall MI. However, if you see features suggestive of posterior wall MI in lead V1, V2, then you should look for right ventricular infarction and inferior wall MI. This was all about how you attach the ECG electrodes to the patient and take a ECG. In the next chapter, we'll discuss about the axis, how you determine the axis. That is one of the most important topics in electrocardiography. If you understand the next video, it will be a blessing for you for the rest of your life. Thank you. If you like the stuff we teach and if you like our videos, please subscribe, like them, share them with your friends, and hit the notification icon so that you get notified whenever we upload more videos. Thank you. God bless.